Okay, so how are we currently structured and what do we have going on at MBBO? So here is a pictorial of the current structure. So we have the MBBO board, and I showed you the current pictures of the people who are on that board. Next, we have the MBBO executive, which is our operational group, and that's made up of the current chair, vice chair, and then the committee and working group chairs. So anyone who is in charge of leading a project or a committee makes up the executive. And we have currently a range of core subcommittees, and they are the Communications, Marketing and Membership Committee, chaired by Rose Adams, as well as the Fundraising and Innovation Committee, chaired by Ken Waldron. We then currently have 3 project-based working groups, and these are working groups that are member-driven, and they have some projects that might have a particular life cycle. So it might be that the committee is formed for a particular project and then it will begin, have its middle and it will end. And we have a few previous past projects that have gone through that type of life cycle. So some projects might also be funding driven. So previously we've had restorative justice projects, an environmental project, a sustainable conflict engagement working group, and a number of internship projects. And this is where if you've got an idea of a project or a plan that you would like to work with MBBO members, you might think or get in contact with us to see how we could set that up and you could be engaged. And a benefit of working on projects under the MBBO brand is that you might have access to colleagues and teams that you wouldn't otherwise, particularly for practitioners who work in small groups or organisations or even solo, and that many hands make light work. So if you meet other interested people, you've got more access to resources to actualise your project. So here I'd like to invite the chairs of the different committees to introduce themselves. So maybe you would like to mention your name, where you're located, a little bit about your work and interest in the project, and then introduce the committees that you're currently working with or projects that you're working with MBBO. So I'll stop that share now, and I'd like to pass over to Ken Waldron to introduce the Training and Capability Group.
Thank you, Claire. I'm actually in Brisbane and I can't speak to the Aboriginal country I'm located with, but normally I'm located in Gidabal country, or otherwise known as Granite Belt of Queensland. Yes, this year I've picked up the training and capability, and as Claire has pointed out, that's one of our major building blocks for value adding in the MBBO Oceania group. It's probably, well, of the several projects I've been involved with over the years, it's probably the one that's most interesting and engaging for me at the moment. What we're running is we propose to do a number of capacity building, which is basically training programs. We've looked at online, and the experienced academics of this place, of our group who know a lot about training, have said that that is a very crowded space. So what we've actually decided to do is we'll do in-person training. And part of the reason for that is it allows us to draw on the skills of a number of our members, but more particularly the dynamic and and energy that comes and creativity that comes from in-person. We have a number of projects. The first one that we're doing at the moment is negotiations. There's a couple of faces here I see who have had to put up with me as the negotiation trainer in the past. We won't ask them for any advocacy or support for my skills, but that's a really powerful program for people needing develop in that space. Secondly, we have an ongoing intern program. Claire mentioned it earlier, and this has been with us for probably 3 years. And it's a really powerful program that helps young people or newcomers. They don't have necessarily be young, because our most recent intern was close to 50, but the opportunity to go and work in the field as they acquire their conflict resolution skills. And we have developed a relationship with one of our members who works in Arakoon, that's Red. One of our members, Craig Jones, is a part of that group, and he's very generously taken under his wing some of our interns. We also have proposed, Claire and I are in the process of setting up a bi-monthly lunchtime seminar series where we draw on people from either within MBBO or more particularly from the broader community who can bring skills to us at MBBO. And there's a couple of projects where we cross over. So with Joanne Law's experiential group, we've been looking at sort of helping new mediators become comfortable with their skills. And I'm sure Joanne may pick it up. So one of the messages I'd leave you all with is we need you. The nothing gets done unless people do it. So we need people who want to step up and help us. There, Claire, over to you.
Thanks, Ken. And if I can just add to one of the projects under that committee is also a collection of videos that we're seeking to do either through interviewing people on their experience or collating some little short exemplars of people doing different things in practice. And so we'd love to hear from any members who would like to either be interviewed, be an interviewer, if you've got another couple of people in your network that you think would be useful for us to have in sort of that depository, or also some people who would be happy to share examples of themselves in practice, as Ken said, for new and emerging mediators, as well as even highly skilled mediators who just might like to see how other people do things. So thank you, Ken. I'll now hand over to Joanne Law to talk about your committee, Joanne.
Thank you. So yes, I'm Joanne Law. I'm currently on the land of the Bunurong Boonwurrung people, I think. I'm normally based in East Gippsland on the lands of the Gunai people, just next to the 90 Mile Beach, anyone knows that part of Australia. So what the experiential learning group is really trying to establish MBBO as a leader in facilitating experiential learning in conflict management and dispute resolution throughout the region. So we're really looking at experience exchange, so peer-led and facilitated experiential learning. We've had our first meeting, so we're a very new group. It's a great time to join us because you can be part of developing and designing our activities. But some of the things that we've thought about are in context mentoring, reflective practice. We're very interested in helping to overcome cultural biases and blind spots. So it may... we were thinking originally that it would be qualified mediators, but it may be that we work with experienced or leaders in communities and pair up mediators to work in conflict situations. So there's all sorts of exciting opportunities. We would love to visit and explore conflict resolution strategies in various parts of the region. So we're looking at collaboration, not colonialisation. So it's not Australia going out and saying, hey, aren't we amazing? Look what we can do. We want to try and facilitate opportunities to learn from, the intact and wonderful practices that are used in various parts of our region. So, yeah, that's just a little, hopefully a little teaser. We'd love to chat with people, and we'll be sharing out our next catch up as we're further refining this and starting to put together projects.
Thanks, Joanne. Fantastic. I'd now like to hand over to Susan Hayes to give a bit of an introduction to the Partnerships Working Group. Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, Claire. The Partnerships Working Group hasn't even really started yet, so you're really in at the beginning if you're interested in getting involved. I'm we've talked a little bit internally about the sorts of partnerships we'd like to create. We're really interested in developing collaborative relationships with other organisations that have similar synergies in terms of goal orientation and wanting to make a difference and contribute to peace building in our region. So that's really the purpose of the working group. We already have some informal relationships or partnerships with, as Ken mentioned, with RED, with Craig Jones and RED. We have, through that partnership, presented mediation training in Papua New Guinea for magistrates and other legal professionals. So we've been involved with Craig doing that, and as Ken has mentioned, done quite a few. Been involved with quite a few projects in Arakoon, which Claire has been involved in, and Ken, and some internships up there. So that's one of our informal partners that we would like to, formalise a further relationship with. It's ongoing, so there's things going on. We're very interested in developing some very strategic partners, people like, and the thoughts that we have at the moment are with organisations such as the Australian Volunteers Program, which is run out of DFAT or funded by DFAT, used to be called the Australian Volunteers International or Australian Volunteers Abroad. We see that there's quite a lot of opportunity there for us to be involved and develop some projects together with the Australian Volunteers Program. We'll also be talking with Joanne Law and one of the organisations that she's been very integral in setting up, which is Interact Support Incorporated. So we're looking forward to doing that. And then we've got some other ideas about other strategic partners, and we're hoping to develop, at least 3 or 4 of those relationships over this first year of the operation of the working group. And of course, there might be spin-off projects from that and other working groups that work from that. So we want to keep it very flexible, keep it very dynamic, but have some formal memorandums of understanding with some of these organisations so we can build and develop MBBO as an organisation and really have an impact in the region, in the Oceania region. Lots of other Asia Pacific organisations as well that might be options for us to get involved in. So it's very new, and we haven't had our first meeting yet. And so anybody who's interested is very welcome to contact me through the LinkedIn page or through the website. And we will be announcing through the LinkedIn page of our inaugural meeting of this working group in the next few weeks. And so look out for that if you're interested, or you can contact me directly if you'd like to. It's really an opportunity for you to get involved now as either a new member or an old member in shaping the strategic direction of Mediators Beyond Borders Oceania. So thank you, Claire.
Thanks so much, Susan. That's great. I'd now like to invite Rose Adams to introduce the Communication, Marketing and Membership Committee. Thanks, Rose.
Hi, everyone. My name's Rose. I sit in Ipswich, Queensland, which is part of the Jagera, Yagara and Urapul people. I'm heading up the Communication, Marketing and Membership Committee for MBBO. What does that mean? We do a lot of work in the communication and marketing space. There's a committee of people. We're always looking for more people that have particular skills or interest in the type of things that we are trying to communicate. We work with Google Workspace as our main platform. So amongst that, our group monitors the membership email box, which we get some inquiries about just membership and things in general. So we make a response to that, or we forward it on to the executive member that is in charge of that section. We're in charge of the website as well. We're currently building a new website, which is very challenging for us. So yeah, I'll look out for that. Hopefully that'll be up in the next month or so. It has a bit of a different look and feel to the current one that we are running. We also do LinkedIn, so we do quite a few posts on LinkedIn. We have a YouTube channel as well that we pop up some videos from time to time, and we let people know through MailChimp and also through LinkedIn when we do something new. We also run the quarterly newsletter. So if anybody has got anything that they would like communicated to members, then we will send that out through the newsletter or through a LinkedIn post or even a MailChimp, which then MailChimp just goes out to everybody who has expressed an interest in the organisation. So we also do event organisations such as this one, and we usually use Humanitix and Zoom. We look after the document storage and the archives as well. And one of our most important roles is to support the committees and the working groups with whatever they need in terms of communication and marketing. The other big role that we have is the membership role, and we are currently trying to build our membership. And we are just going into a new bit of a membership campaign. So if anybody hasn't joined and they would like to join, then we have a little special deal for you. If you join now, in the next couple of months, you'll get 12 months free. How's that for a deal? So yeah, so on our website, you have the facility there that you're able to, thanks Joanne, to just go in and pay through PayPal or through credit card or direct deposit. So at the moment, we're still quite a reasonable price, I think, for what return you could expect in the next 12 months or so. So yeah, so if you've got any questions about any of that, our mailbox is membership@mbbo.com.au. And back to you, Claire.
Fabulous. Thanks, Rose. Maybe if you want to pop that email address in the chat so everyone can access it. And we do have our membership currently running from financial year. So it's from July to June, which is why if you join now, we'll give you these extra few months free, and you'll have then membership for the 2024-2025 financial year. Fantastic. I'm now just going to hand over to Ken Waldron just to introduce our final committee, which is the Fundraising and Innovation Committee. Thank you, Ken.
My pleasure, Claire. As we know, all organisations are not-for-profits. The lifeblood might be the voluntary efforts that we all get put in, but it's actually having funds to be able to do the things we want to do. And that's a real challenge. When you are made up of a group of people who want to do good, they don't like to really worry about money. So this is probably our most demanding but under-supported area of activity. Historically, we have relied largely on sponsorship and to a lesser extent membership. We are really, to be able to actually reach out into the Oceania region actively as we want, we need to be much more active in fundraising. We need a source of funds. And so we're energising, and Claire is on the committee with me, but we're trying to energise sort of a new stream as well as the traditional sponsorship and membership. We're looking at other avenues, of which training and capability capacity is one of them. So our training programs will aim to raise funds as paid for work. In addition, we're looking at project-specific fundraising through crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, and we are members of the Community Institute of Community Directors, and they have a funding section which specialises in giving us access to grants and this sort of thing. So we hope to use those. I won't bore you too much with the other activities we want to do. What's really important message here is if you have the skills in raising funds, please put your hand up and come and join us. If you don't have the skills, but you have the energy, please put your hands up and come and join us. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Ken. And even just as the membership, or even if you're just an interested community member at this stage, if you've got any leads on where any fundraising or innovation activities might take place, please feel free to forward them on as well. We're always happy to hear about any new ideas. So they're the current working groups and committees that we have. And I'd just like to reiterate that we are very much a member-led organisation. So these working groups and committees have been established by members who have a particular interest and energy to work on them at the moment. So we do rely on the enthusiasm of members. And there might be someone's project and idea there that you're interested in and would like to join, either for the camaraderie, the experience, the ability to work with, or to provide just some support. So there's lots of different ways that you can provide your own energy, enthusiasm, and time. And if there's a particular project that you yourselves might have an interest in creating a project group or committee around, that's another option. So if you've got just a burning desire to do a particular project, or there's an event coming up, or there's something that you would like to do under the MBBO brand, please get in touch and we can discuss what that could also look like. I've got a few just quick final slides to share about some past projects that might just provide you with some ideas of things that you might like to think about for yourselves, or it might spark some ideas for things moving forward. Under the MBBO banner, we've presented at a number of conferences on topical issues, and we've done some of that through panel discussions based on the wealth of experience and knowledge from our particular members. And so those groups would identify a conference that they're interested in presenting at, talk to people and discuss who would want to be involved in creating the presentation or be on the panel on the day, and then work on the presentation, execute it, and then that project's, maybe finalized and done. So it might have a short life cycle. So there's a few different ways that you could get engaged if you're interested in that type of thought leadership. We've also done some discrete training programs. So this was working with our partner Red and Craig Jones in delivering mediation training up in Arakoon. So providing training on mediation skills and techniques as appropriate for Indigenous communities. We've also had the number of different interns who've worked on really specific projects in different regions, and then gone on to create those as projects within organisations that then have their own funding and their own life cycle beyond MBBO. There's also been quite a few examples if you do receive our newsletters. So some other training that took place in the Solomon Islands that was created and delivered under the banner of MBBO. And if you've got any ideas or interests or ways that you'd like to engage,